The arena lights dimmed to absolute silence. 15,000 souls packed into the Hong Kong Coliseum, their collective breath creating a mist that hung in the air like anticipation itself. Tonight wasn't just another fight. This was the collision of two martial arts universes, a moment when legends would either be born or buried under the weight of history. The bell's metallic shriek cut through the tension like a blade through silk. What unfolded next was poetry written in violence, a masterpiece painted in sweat and determination that would be spoken about in hushed whispers for decades to come. Donnie Yen emerged from his corner like liquid lightning given human form. At 59, his lean frame moved with the fluid precision of water finding its path through stone. Every step was calculated, every breath measured, his dark eyes scanning his opponent with the cold intelligence of a predator studying prey. This was the man who had redefined martial arts cinema, whose fists moved faster than camera shutters could capture, whose Wing Chun mastery had evolved into something far more dangerous through decades of cross-training and real combat experience. Across the canvas stood a monument to human power. Bolo Yeung, 74 years of age, but carrying his 240 pounds like a man half his years, commanded attention through sheer physical presence alone. His shoulders were carved from mountains, his chest a fortress that had intimidated opponents for 5 decades. Those massive hands hung at his sides like sledgehammers waiting for divine purpose. The Chinese Hercules had never needed speed when he possessed the kind of devastating power that could end fights with a single perfectly placed strike. The opening exchange told the story of their contrasting philosophies. Yen launched forward with a 3-punch combination that snapped out faster than heartbeats, each strike testing Yeung's legendary defenses. The older warrior absorbed them on forearms that might as well have been granite, then countered with a right cross that displaced molecules as it whistled past Yen's ducking head. The crowd gasped collectively. That punch carried enough force to topple buildings. But Yen was already gone, circling with footwork that was pure artistry, creating angles that shouldn't have existed in the confined space of the ring. His strategy was becoming clear: death by 1,000 cuts, using superior mobility to avoid Yeung's devastating power, while accumulating damage through precise surgical strikes. A leg kick thudded against Yeung's tree trunk thigh. A jab snapped his head back. An uppercut grazed his granite chin. Yeung's response was patient, calculated, terrifying in its controlled restraint. He began cutting off the ring with surprising tactical intelligence, his decades of experience reading Yen's patterns like sheet music. When the speed merchant committed to a spinning back kick, those massive hands moved with unexpected quickness, catching the ankle mid-air. For one heart-stopping moment, the lightning was trapped by the thunder. El momentum shifted like continental plates grinding against each other. Yeung had found his rhythm now, his jab carrying the weight of sledgehammers despite its measured pace. Each landed strike echoed through the arena like cannon fire. Yen's mobility was being systematically reduced as the older warrior's pressure mounted relentlessly. A perfectly timed uppercut grazed Yen's chin, and uncertainty flickered in those calculating eyes for the first time. The arena fell silent except for leather meeting flesh and the labored breathing of two legends pushing beyond human limitations.
Yen peppered combinations from impossible angles, but Yeung was absorbing punishment that would have hospitalized ordinary men, waiting for that one perfect moment when lightning would have to stand still long enough to be caught by thunder.
That moment arrived with the suddenness of destiny. Yen, backing away from another crushing combination, felt his heel touch the corner turnbuckle. Trapped with nowhere to retreat, the master of speed made a decision that would echo through martial arts history. Instead of circling out, he stepped directly into the hurricane. What followed transcended sport and became something approaching religious experience. Yen's hands moved in a blur of Wing Chun chain punches, each strike targeting pressure points with scientific precision. But Yeung, drawing on reserves of power that seemed to tap into the Earth's core itself, wrapped those tree trunk arms around Yen's torso in a bear hug that could have cracked ribs like kindling. For 15 eternal seconds they stood locked together. Speed versus strength, technique versus raw power, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object. The crowd forgot to breathe, time forgot to move. Two legends tested the very boundaries of human capability while 15,000 witnesses held their collective breath.
Yen's escape was pure genius distilled into motion. Instead of fighting the grip, he relaxed completely, becoming water, mercury, something that couldn't be held by mere strength. As Yeung readjusted his massive arms, Yen exploded upward with an uppercut that traveled perhaps 6 inches but contained 3 decades of martial arts evolution. The final exchange was a chess match played at superhuman speed. Both fighters had taken each other's full measure now, and mutual respect had replaced simple competition. Yen's combinations became more measured, conserving energy while maintaining relentless pressure. Yeung's counters were timed with mathematical precision, each one carrying the potential to rewrite the fight's conclusion. With both warriors showing the accumulated damage of their epic battle, Yen made his decisive gambit. Feinting a high kick that drew Yeung's massive hands upward, he instead swept low, dropping to one knee as the counter-punch sailed through empty air. From this impossibly low position, he launched into a technique that married traditional Wing Chun with pure innovation. A rising palm strike that began at floor level and ascended with all the explosive power his legendary conditioning could generate.
A Nuss caught Yeung perfectly beneath the solar plexus, lifting all 240 pounds of solid muscle off the canvas for one physics-defying moment. When those feet touched down again, the mountain's eyes held the distant look of a man whose nervous system had just been fundamentally reset. The referee's count echoed like thunder in a cathedral. At 8, Yeung's indomitable spirit tried to rise, but flesh and bone had finally acknowledged what pride refused to accept. At 10, silence fell over Hong Kong like the first snow of winter. Donnie Yen had achieved the impossible, but not through superior size or strength. Victory came through adaptability, through the fusion of traditional technique with tactical brilliance, through the kind of fight intelligence that only emerges from decades of constant evolution. When trapped in Yeung's power grip, he had found solutions that no amount of physical conditioning could provide. He had won with his mind as much as his fists. The embrace at ring center between two legends said everything words couldn't capture. Yeung's power remained the stuff of mythology,
But on this night in Hong Kong, Yen's precision and adaptability had proven that sometimes the sharpest blade cuts deeper than the heaviest hammer.